Good morning, students. Today we are going to study about the sense organ ear. The ear, which is the sense organ for hearing, kivigalu, ear. So the ear we have to study today. The ear is the organ of hearing. It is also called as auditory apparatus. It is also called as auditory apparatus. It is an organ of hearing. It is supplied by the cochlear branch of 8th cranial nerve, which responds to the vibrations generated by the sound waves and transmits this information to the brain. So this ear, it's a very important organ of hearing, which is supplied by the cochlear branch of 8th cranial nerve. The branch of 8th cranial nerve is supplied to this organ, and this nerve, 8th cranial nerve branch, responds to the vibrations generated by the sound waves and transmit this information to the brain. The auricle is nothing but it is the outer ear, is outside the body, and remaining structure of ear are enclosed within the temporal bone. So the external ear, that is the auricle part of the external ear, this is the auricle. This portion is the auricle, and this auricle is the only portion which is present outside the body, and the remaining structures of the ear are enclosed within the temporal bone. This is the temporal bone here. This is the temporal bone. So in the temporal bone, the remaining parts of the ear are enclosed. The ear is divided into 3 distinct parts: the external ear, middle ear, and inner ear. The external, middle, and inner. So this is the structure of the ear, and this is the external ear, this portion is the middle ear, and this is the internal ear. External, middle, and internal. The external ear, the auricle is outside the body, and the auditory canal and the tympanic membrane are inside the temporal bone. This is the temporal bone, complete bone, and in the bone the structures are present. You can see the figure. So it's very clear in the notes. You can see in the notes which I have given already. So the ear is divided into 3 distinct parts, that is the external ear, middle ear, and the inner ear. Coming to the external ear, the external ear is made up of, first one, auricle, that is the outer ear, second is auditory canal, and the third is the tympanic membrane. So there are 3 portions in the external ear. The first one is the auricle, which is outside the body. You can observe that one. And the auditory canal, second is the auditory canal, and the third is the tympanic membrane. So the tympanic membrane is also there in the external ear portion. Coming to the auricle, it is a visible part of the ear present at the side of the head and composed of fibroelastic cartilage. It is made up of fibroelastic cartilage. It is deeply grooved and ridged. So you can observe the grooves and the ridges on the auricle. The prominent ridge is helix. The prominent ridge is called helix. You can see here. So this is the helix, prominent ridge. This is the helix. And lobule is the soft present at lower part of auricle, composed of fibrous and adipose tissue with rich supply of blood vessels. So the lobule is a soft part. So this is the lobule, which is very soft part, this portion, lower portion, and it is a very soft part of the auricle, composed of fibrous and adipose tissue, adipose and fibrous tissue with rich supply of blood vessels. The blood vessels are there here. If you prick something here, immediately the blood comes out. So the blood vessels are present in the lobule portion of the auricle. Coming to the second one, auditory canal. It is called as external acoustic medius. It is also called as external acoustic medius. Next point, it is slightly S-type tube. It is a S-type tube, little bit, very slightly S-type tube, about 2.5 centimeters long. It is 2.5 centimeter long, extending from auricle to the tympanic membrane, that is the eardrum. Tympanic membrane is also called as the eardrum. So up to the eardrum it is extended, from auricle to the eardrum. Up to the eardrum it is extended as a S-type of, slightly S-type of tube-like structure, which is 2.5 centimeter long. The anterior 1/3 of this tube is embedded in cartilage, and the posterior 2/3 is within the temporal bone. So the first 1/3 part of this tube, that is the auditory canal, is cartilageous, is embedded in the cartilage, and the posterior 2/3 is embedded in the temporal bone. Next point, it is lined by skin with numerous hair follicles with sebaceous glands. So this tube is lined by the skin. The skin portion is extended inside the auditory canal. The skin here, the skin of the auricle is extended inside, again inside the auditory canal, and with the numerous hair follicles and the sebaceous glands. The skin also contains modified sweat glands called cuneiforous glands, cinemoneous glands, with which secrete the ear wax. The ear wax is secreted by the modified sweat glands present in the skin of the auditory canal. The sebaceous glands are present, and the modified sweat glands are present here in the auditory canal, and they secrete the wax, ear wax, a sticky material containing bactericidal enzyme, that is lysozyme and immunoglobulins. The wax, which is secreted by the modified sweat glands of the auditory canal, contains bactericidal enzymes called lysozyme and immunoglobulins, which protects dust, insects and microbes reaching the tympanic membrane. The dust and the insects, or the microbes or the microorganisms, bacteria and viruses, other things, microbes to reaching the tympanic membrane, entering inside the auditory canal. Now coming to the tympanic membrane. It is thin, semi-transparent, pure white, oval membrane situated at the posterior end of the auditory canal. At the posterior end of the auditory canal, the tympanic membrane is present, which is pure white and oval membrane. Then second one, it separates auditory canal from middle ear and a portion between external ear and the middle ear. Now coming to the next point, it is 3 layers. There are 3 layers in the tympanic membrane. The membrane has 3 layers. The tympanic membrane has 3 layers. Outer layer is thin, hairless skin layer. The outer layer is a hairless skin layer. Then the middle layer is fibrous layer. The inner layer, third layer, inner layer is mucous membrane layer. The mucous membrane layer is present inside. So there are 3 layers present in the tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane shows a central depression called umbo, U-M-B-O, umbo, the central depression of the tympanic membrane. The central depression present in the tympanic membrane called umbo, on the inner side of which the handle of the malleus is attached, the malleus bone, that is one of the ear ossicle, malleus, ear bone. There are 3 bones present in the ear, and the one is malleus. The first one is the malleus, which is attached to the umbo of the tympanic membrane. Now coming to the middle ear, central ear, middle ear. So the middle ear, you can see here the middle ear, it is very clear in the notes. There are 3 bones, malleus, incus and the stapes. 3 bones are there, ear ossicles, and this is the tympanic cavity, the upper cavity and the lower cavity, and there is a eustachian canal which connects the internal ear or the middle ear with the larynx, nasopharynx. This is connected by the eustachian canal. It is also called auditory canal, eustachian canal. And here you can see the external ear and the tympanic membrane, the first bone, second bone and the third bone. The upper part is epitympanum, and this is the temporal bone in which it is situated, and this is middle ear, tympanum cavity, tympanic cavity. This is the tympanic cavity complete. Then is the epitympanum, that is the above one is the epi, lower one is the tympanum, and this is attached with the oval window and the round window. 2 types of windows are there. So the middle ear, it is also called tympanic cavity or tympanum. It is also called as tympanic cavity or tympanum. Number 2, it is cube shaped narrow cavity filled with air spaces situated in a temporal bone. This complete middle ear is situated in the temporal bone. The temporal bone cavity, in that cavity this middle ear is situated and filled with the air spaces. It is filled with the air space. The tympanum is filled with air spaces. It is cube shaped, very narrow cavity filled with air spaces. Coming to the next point, and present in between external ear and the inner ear. The external and the inner ear, in between this middle ear or the tympanum is present. Coming to the next point, the temporal cavity, its contents and the air sacs are lined by simple squamous or cuboidal epithelial cells. Simple squamous or cuboidal epithelial cells are present in the lining of the temporal cavity. Its contents and the air sacs all are lined by the simple squamous or cuboidal epithelial cells. The middle ear is subdivided into tympanic cavity proper and epitympanum, two portions. Tympanic cavity proper, which is opposite to tympanic membrane. The area present opposite to the tympanic membrane is called tympanic cavity proper, and the area which is above the tympanic membrane is called epitympanum. Epitympanum is the tympanum above the tympanic cavity, that is the epitympanum. Coming to the next point, middle ear communicates anteriorly with nasopharynx through Eustachian canal or auditory canal. Eustachian or auditory canal. So there is a small canal which connects the middle ear with the nasopharynx. So the nasopharynx present in the buccal cavity is connected to the middle ear by the Eustachian canal. It is a very important portion, that is a Eustachian canal, or it is also called as auditory canal. Next point, the medial wall of cavity contains oval window, that is a small opening closed by the palate of stapes ossicle, which leads to vestibule of inner ear, and the round window is a round opening which leads to the cochlea. So the inner ear connection is through the oval window and the round window. There are two windows, oval and the round, which are connections to the inner ear and the middle ear. Next point, there are three small bones called ear ossicles. There are three small bones which are called as ear ossicles or ear bones. The first one is malleus, M-A-L-L-E-U-S, malleus. We have already studied in the osteology. So the bones of the ear, we have already studied the structure, the functions, and the place where they are situated. All I have told you in the osteology, in the study of bones. So here once again we can see the inner ear, the middle ear contains the three ear ossicles called ear ossicles or the ear bones. The first one is malleus, M-A-L-L-E-U-S, malleus. Second one is incus, I-N-C-U-S, incus. The third one is stapes, S-T-A-P-E-S, stapes. Stapes is the third bone. Three bones are there. They are called ossicles, ear ossicles. They are very important bones, hence they are called ear ossicles. Next point, there are two types of muscles present in the middle ear. There are two types of muscles present in the middle ear. The first one is tensor tympani muscles, tensor tympani. Second one is stapedius muscle, tensor tympanum muscle and the stapedius muscle. So these two types of muscles are present in the middle ear. Next one, two types of nerves are also present. There are two types of nerves also. The first is choroid tympani, chorda tympani, C-H-O-R-D-A, chorda tympani. Then the second one is tympanic plexus, So chorda tympani and the tympanic plexus are the two types of nerves present in the middle ear. Next point, air reaches the cavity through the Eustachian canal, which links nasopharynx. So the air from the mouth enters inside the nasopharynx, and through the Eustachian canal it reaches the middle ear. Nasopharynx and middle ear is about 4 cm long. It is 4 cm long and lined with ciliated columnar epithelial cells. The presence of air creates atmospheric pressure on both sides of tympanic membrane is maintained. From the outer side of the tympanic membrane, the air enters through the auditory tube or the external ear. Then one more pressure is created in the middle ear by the air entering through the Eustachian canal in the middle ear. So there are two types of atmospheric pressure created on the tympanic membrane, that is maintained by Eustachian canal and enables the membrane to vibrate when sound waves strike it. When the sound waves strike it, it vibrates. The tympanic membrane vibrates. Next point, usually the Eustachian canal is closed, but when the unequal pressure is created on tympanic membrane by high altitudes of sound waves, then Eustachian canal is opened by swallowing or yawning, and air rushes into the tympanum to equalize the pressure again. For the equalization of the pressure, the air enters through the Eustachian canal. So thus the pressure is equalized on the atmospheric pressure which is present on the tympanic membrane is equalized, and then it vibrates, and the vibration waves will be taken to the next part of the ear. So the next point, the three small bones or ear ossicles, malleus, incus and stapes, form a chain-like structure in the middle ear from tympanic membrane up to the oval window. The ossicles are joined together by synovial joints. The ossicles are joined by synovial joints and ligaments to keep in place together. So they are joined by the ligaments and the synovial joints to keep in place. They vibrate within the air-filled tympanic cavity. They also vibrate within the air-filled tympanic cavity. Now coming to the inner ear. The inner ear is a very important part which is having the anterior semicircular canals, 3 semicircular canals, 7th facial nerve and the 8th vestibular cochlear nerves, then the vestibule, that is the cochlea, and the temporal bone which is present in the temporal bone, and the vestibule again. So auricle, ampullae and saculae are also present in the inner ear. So if you go through the figure in the notes which I have given, it will be very clear to you people. So this portion is the inner ear. I think you can see this. This is the inner ear. The upper portion is the semicircular canals, and the lower is vestibule or the cochlea present below, and there are nerve endings, 8th cranial nerves, 7th facial nerve and the 8th vestibular nerves are present here. So the inner ear is also called labyrinth. So the inner ear is also called labyrinth, Labyrynth, which contains the organs of hearing and balance. This is a very important part. It contains the organs of hearing and balance of the body. The balance is maintained in the inner ear organs. The inner ear organs which are present in the inner ear, they are responsible for the balance and also the hearing. The inner ear is situated in a temporal bone. It is completely situated in the temporal bone. It is described in two parts. The first one, bony labyrinth. Second, membranous labyrinth. Two parts are there in the inner ear. The first one is the bony labyrinth. The bony labyrinth, and the second one is a membranous labyrinth. The inner ear is divided into three main regions. There are three main regions present in the inner ear. The first one is vestibule, containing utricle and sacculae. The vestibule containing utricle and sacculae. Second one is three semicircular canals. And the third is the cochlea. The cochlea is present. So the bony labyrinth, the first is the bony labyrinth. There are two parts I have told, bony labyrinth and the membranous labyrinth. The bony labyrinth is lined by periosteum, and within the bony part, the membranous part is suspended in the watery fluid called perilymph. Perilymph watery fluid is present in the inner ear, and in this fluid the membranous part of the labyrinth is suspended. It is lined by the periosteum, and within the bony part, the membranous part is suspended in a watery fluid called perilymph. The second one is a membranous labyrinth. It consists of the sacs and ducts filled with fluid called endolymph. It is suspended within the bony labyrinth. So the membranous labyrinth is suspended in the bony labyrinth and consists of sacs and the ducts filled with the fluid called endolymph. Endolymph is there in the membranous labyrinth, whereas in bony labyrinth the periosteum or the perilymph is present in the bony labyrinth. Now coming to the vestibule, the first one is the vestibule. There I have told there are three parts, or the inner ear is divided into three parts. The first one is the vestibule, second is semicircular canals, three semicircular canals, and the third one is the cochlea. So the first one is the bony labyrinth, I have already told. Now coming to the vestibule, it is an expanded oval bony chamber present near middle ear. The oval and the round windows are located on the lateral wall. It contains two membranous sacs called utricles, and the sacculae, which are important in balance. Anteriorly, it is continuous with bony cochlea, and posteriorly with the semicircular canals. So vestibule is made up of utricle, sacculae, and it is continuous with the cochlea below. Coming to the semicircular canals, the anterior, posterior and lateral canals, semicircular canals, communicate. There are three canals, the anterior, the posterior and the lateral. Three semicircular canals communicate with vestibule of bony labyrinth. They are set at right angles to each other. There is a swelling at one end of each canal called ampullae, except anterior and posterior canals, which has a common opening. They both have the common opening. Coming to the cochlea, this part of the inner ear resembles a snail's shell. Snail's shell. ಬಸವನ ಹುಳದ ಶೆಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಇದು. So it resembles a snail's shell which has a broad base continuous with the vestibule, a narrow apex and a spiral round central bony part. It contains the three compartments. First one is a scala vestibula, second is scala tympani, third one is a medial cochlear duct. The scalar vestibula originates at the oval window and the scala tympani ends at the round window. The two compartments are continuous with each other and both contain perilymph. So these organs, they contain the fluid called perilymph. The cochlear duct, which is the extension of the membranous labyrinth, lies between both the compartments, is sala vestibuli and scala tympani. Scala vestibuli and the scala tympani. The cochlear duct is triangular in shape and contains organs of hearing, and endolymph is present. The fluid present in this cochlear duct is endolymph. On the basal membrane of triangle of cochlear duct, there are supporting cells and specialized cochlear hair cells containing auditory receptors. The auditory receptors are dendrites of afferent sensory nerves that combine to form cochlear auditory nerve, that is the 8th cranial nerve. The sensory organs, the auditory receptors, respond to the vibration by initiating nerve impulses that are then perceived as hearing within the brain through cochlear auditory nerves. So the sense organs, the auditory receptors, they all respond to the vibrations by inviting nerve impulses. Now coming to the functions of the ear. The functions of the ear are very less. There are only 3 functions. So I will complete this one also. The ear has 2 functions. Ear has 2 functions. First one is hearing. Second is balancing. Hearing and balancing. The external and the middle ear are mainly concerned with conduction of sound to inner ear. The external and the middle ear are mainly concerned with conduction of sound to the inner ear. The third one is the inner ear contains the vestibule and the cochlea, which are essential for equilibrium and hearing. For equilibrium or the balancing and hearing purpose, this vestibule and the cochlea is very important parts which are present in the inner ear. So these are the 3 functions of the ear. So this is about the sense organ, the ear. Tomorrow we will go to the 4th one, that is the tongue. The tongue, sense of taste. It is a sensory organ of the taste. So we have already studied about the skin, then eye, ear, skin, eye, ear. 3 we have completed. Tomorrow we are going to study the 4th one, the tongue. So thank you very much.